Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Seed Speaks. My name is Ashley Robinson. I am the editor of the Alberta Seed Guide, and I'll be acting as your host for this episode. On today's episode, we're continuing our closer look at Seed World's top 10 most innovative products for 2022. Last week, my colleague Sonia Begeman spoke with 3 companies about their seed treatment products, and today we're talking with 3 new companies about their seed technology products. So joining me today are Steve Hawkins with Meridian Life Sciences, who won with the Air-Dryable Direct DNA qPCR plant. Bruce Reza with AgVoice Global, and York Schrickle with Amphasys, who won with Ampha P20. We'll talk to each of these winners and stay tuned over the next few weeks to hear from the other top 10 winners. To those watching, please don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have for our guests in the chat box. So up first, we are talking about Air-Dryable Direct DNA qPCR. Unfortunately, Steve was unable to be here live with us today, so I chatted with him earlier, and we're going to share that conversation with you now. Thanks, Steve, for recording this with us. I appreciate you making time for us because, of course, things come up, so I really appreciate you making time with us beforehand. So first off, I'd just like to have you tell me a bit more about yourself and your job there at Meridian.
Right, yes. Hello, thank you for allowing me to join you. My name's Steve Hawkins. I'm a doctor of molecular biology, and I actually work at Meridian as a product marketing manager. So I'm responsible for the development and the marketing of new and innovative products that Meridian actually bring out for the molecular market.
Awesome. And so the product you're here to talk about today is the Air-Dryable Direct DNA qPCR. And so from what I understand is that it allows people to easily store and access DNA extracts from plants. So can you explain a bit more about what this product is and what it does?
Yes, certainly. So the Air-Dryable Direct DNA qPCR plant is really an easy to use, an ideal development tool for, as you say, making stable assays for the customers to use. So one of the big problems with the molecular biology reagents is they generally tend to be unstable. So they need to be stored on ice. And of course, if you're in the field, if you're actually working, and even if you're doing very, very large throughputs, this can be difficult. It can also be very expensive to do. So what we can do is we can take the Air-Dryable Direct DNA qPCR plant mix, and we can actually dry it down. And then it means it can be stored at room temperature and be used exactly where the customer wants it to be used.
That is so cool. I know, I feel like I've learned a lot more about science in the last few years living in the pandemic world. And I remember when we were first releasing the mRNA vaccines and they had to be kept in these super, super cold freezers and stuff. So it's really interesting to see how technology is moving forward. And as we learn more, and I can definitely tell, I know when you're out in the field, there is not a freezer or ice always around you, and it can be a really hot day. So that's amazing for the ag world.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So why, I feel like you kind of already told me a bit about this, but why is this product so revolutionary for the ag and seed worlds?
Well, first of all, if you talk about air drying technology, up until now, what you've really needed to do is to lyophilize. So lyophilization requires a vacuum desiccator, which is got a freezing unit to it. So basically, you bring down the temperature, you freeze the solution, you use the vacuum to draw off the moisture, and then you need dry nitrogen hood when you actually take it out to seal it up so there's no moisture gets in there. And if you can't do this, generally what you've had to do in the past is send your sample to a third party for them to do it. And as you can see, with all that equipment or sending it to a third party, it's often very expensive. And what we have is we have this really innovative product, which is the ability to air dry. And all it requires is a convection oven for the customers. And what they can do is they can use that convection oven, put the sample in with the primers and the probes, and dry it down, and then you seal it up, and then it's ready. So it's fast, it's easy. And the other thing we've done is we've made sure when it's dried down, it doesn't reduce in any way the sensitivity or the reproducibility of the results.
That's so fascinating, and it really sounds like it's such a time saver too.
Yeah,
As I was saying before, there's so many things. It's amazing to see in the last few years just how things that used to take so long to do, we've really reduced the amount of time. And as we all know, time is very important, and time means money.
absolutely. Yes.
And so, who are you guys trying to market and sell this product to when we're looking at the ag and seed spaces?
So basically, it's anybody that really wants a really sensitive system where they can get really good results very, very quickly. And obviously, they want to be able to things like multiplex, so look at more than one gene at one time, but also where potentially they've got very high throughput as well. So it can be used in the field for just small amounts, but it can also be used, it's ideal for very, very high throughput as well, because you're creating these stable assays, and these assays are ready to use. And all you need to do is take the top off and actually physically use them. So as I say, they're great in the field. They're also great in the laboratory as well. So if the samples are going to the laboratory, and also it makes it really easy. You don't need to be a technician to actually use this. All you need to be able to do is crudely lyse the cells, and that generally tends to be if you're taking a leaf clipping. You take a leaf clipping, you drop it into a tube with water, you boil it, and you just take a sample of that and you add it to the assay, and you simply put it on the machine and run it. So it makes it really straightforward for anybody to use it.
That's great because it sounds like it can kind of free up resources with people that maybe could be in the lab focusing on developing some really amazing products and plants and everything. So they could have maybe
Absolutely.
some summer students or people are around there that maybe aren't as well trained helping out, which is awesome.
Absolutely, and you've got to remember that a lot of these people, particularly when you've got the growing season starts at the beginning of the year, they're doing lots of assays, and potentially for the rest of the year they're doing something completely different, and then they forget what they're doing. Whereas this, you're simply doing a very straightforward protocol, so you're not going to lose your place. You're not going to have problems there. It's going to be easy for everybody.
That's awesome. And so I feel like you've kind of told me a bit about this the whole time, and I feel like we've been leading to this, but what really makes you excited about this product?
I think the fact that it actually allows the customer to do this. So rather than the control going to somebody else to do the dry down or do the assay development, it allows the person that actually wants to use the assay to really easily create this assay, and then without losing any control of the samples, where they're going, what's happening to them, to actually create these assays that can then be used really easily by themselves or by their colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. It's the what I'm getting from you is that it's the accessibility and the easiness that makes this product really revolutionary.
Absolutely, and there's also obviously, what we've done is we've made sure that it remains really, really sensitive and really, really reproducible. So you're not going to compromise in any way with the assay. It's going to be as good as a liquid assay would be once it's dried down.
Great. And of course, we're here to talk about ag tech. And as someone working in this space, what do you think is really going to be game changing for the industry in the future?
I think it's going to be making things really easy to access. So at the end of the day, one of the things with molecular biology is it's really, really sensitive. But a lot of the time it requires somebody with technician level to be in the lab. If we can make this easier, if we can make this more straightforward to people to use, first of all, it frees up those technicians' time. Secondly, it becomes accessible to anybody. That sensitivity can then be taken down the line. So even people that are physically working in the fields, we've now got these inexpensive machines that they can use. And when they're actually looking at these plants, if they're wondering whether, I don't know, it's got something like a mosaic virus that's attacking the plant, they can do these quick assays and they can get the results. And it's really highly sensitive, and it's going to make it so much easier, so much more accessible to everybody.
I love that focus on making things easier for people and being able to free up resources. I think we all know that when we're looking at the business world and even at the research worlds and everything, that it really is important that we're able to focus on what our skill sets are and be able to free up those resources, because that's when we get stuff done overnight, basically. Like when we look at the COVID vaccine being developed, when people are able to focus on something, we get stuff done fast.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Steve, for talking with me. I really enjoyed this conversation and I learned so much.
Thank you very much.
That was such a great conversation. And I just want to say a quick congrats to Steve and the team at Meridian Life Sciences for being named one of Seed World's top 10 most innovative products. I'm really excited to see how your product is used and revolutionizes the ag and even the human medical world in the future. Next up is AgVoice Global, and Bruce is here to tell us all about it. So thanks, Bruce, for being here. And can you tell me a bit more about yourself and your job there at AgVoice?
Sure. Hi, Ashley. Basically, I'm CEO and co-founder of a startup called AgVoice. And what we are is a voice-to-data capture service that lets anyone within the food and ag industry work hands-free while they're on the go. So basically, it's a data service that works on a phone. We've actually solved for the phone stays in the worker's pocket all day long, and then they use an optional microphone and a little ring actually to control the system. And the main benefit is that it gives them 30% more productivity each day. That could be 30% more plots or inspections or anything else in ag, even animal agriculture. But basically, the service recognizes food and ag specific terms. We train it and customize it for the user's area of interest or domain. And then the big differentiator is it works with no internet access, which allows it to go anywhere in the ag industry. So, Ashley, in summary, it's basically like allowing people to speak their reports, not have to integrate or interact and have their hands tied up with their phone or tablet.
That is so cool. I'm really I really can't wait to discuss it a bit more. And what's your position there specifically at AgVoice? Like what would I be talking to you if I called up AgVoice for?
Sure. I'm one of the three co-founders. I'm CEO of the company. And basically I was a farm kid in Western Missouri and spent much of my career in the technology industry at IBM and so forth. But we combined those kind of two worlds, and our team's about 9 or 10 people now. And we're based out of Kansas City. So a little bit of everything to answer your question.
That's awesome. I know with you guys with those ag tech startups and stuff, it's as you said, it's a little bit of everything because you got to get those sales going and get that product developed.
Yep.
Yeah. So of course you did give me a bit of an overview of what this product is. So why is it needed? I know myself, I have Siri on my phone. So why is it important to have a specific ag product like this?
Sure. You actually brought a good example with Siri. The current virtual assistants on the industry landscape, largely in the consumer realm, don't always work very well because they're very general. In our case, we're very specific and very narrow. We're super fortunate. We've got contracts with 3 of the 4 largest seed companies in the world, and they always want this to be integrated with their data. And so we definitely believe in data sovereignty. The customer owns all the data. In our case, we're a steward of that, helping make the system smarter. But to answer your direct question, some of our first users are like plant breeders or agronomists, and some of them do 400 inspections per day with our system. In some cases, we routinely can make them 30% more productive every day. In some cases, there are 2-person jobs, like in plant breeding inspection, that we can make into a 1-person job. So they have a really clear immediate benefit. For some that really is frustrating them, it takes a lot of time every day, and currently all they have is either pen or paper or tablets, and those tie up their hands, and often they have other tools they must bring to the field.
That's so cool. And I know myself, I may not be out in the field recording data like that, but I have been on crop tours and everything. And there's so many things to be keeping track of and to be writing down notes and also if it's windy, then you're dealing with papers blowing and your notebook blowing all over the place. So I think that is it's a real time saver and just something that we really do need in the industry.
Yep, exactly.
And so what really makes you excited about the opportunities out there for AgVoice?
I'd say there's probably two things. The first is because our service is so customizable, like within 48 hours, we can customize it for a new domain. That means unlike a conventional graphical user interface, those can be hard to customize or expensive or take a lot of time. We can do these things very rapidly. And the point of that is we can enhance or augment any worker's daily task anywhere in the ag and food value spectrum. I mean, you could start today, we're with researchers, scientists, and specialists, but then it can go to agronomists and eventually any, if you will, farmer, rancher, or grower. So the main thing I'm excited about is when we think about that, together, because we run on any phone or tablet, our service can scale up, it can scale out, and also has the ability to scale down. And to give you a proof point of that, we've learned on the internet of there are new $49 smartphones in some emerging geographies today. So to answer your question directly, we can scale and go anywhere across agriculture for very, very different needs that our customers need.
Cool. And so just with the mention of the smartphones there, I guess just another quick question that I'd like to ask. Is this available on all kinds of smartphones? Because I know sometimes people are like, we can only get it on like the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. So what are you guys like when it comes to it being available on the smartphones?
Sure, common question. So we're on iOS initially. Android is on the roadmap for this year. We have many customers that require it because they're international in nature. And then we'll also have a web version as well. So in fact, our engine works in all three of those scenarios, our speech engine. And it also is the same engine that works on the device with no internet connection, as well as on the cloud. So it's a real enterprise solution that helps any size organization build once and then deploy it many, many places. So AgVoice is very versatile that way as a service.
That's awesome to hear that you guys are really working on that expansion. And I know you've mentioned it a bit, but who are you guys marketing AgVoice at right now and looking towards the future?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we're very, very fortunate. We've got 3 of the 4 largest seed companies in the world as current initial customers with different types of paid projects. So the first place that we've seen the most interest is often in research and development areas where they're doing intense hands-on inspections. There's a lot of walking. Often there can be a lot of driving too to get to the locations. Often in fruits and vegetables, but plenty of interest and demand. And we're training for row crops as well, corn, soy, rice, so forth. We have a ton of interest in sugarcane as well. But beyond that, Ashley, you can be trained for ag logistics, quality assurance, quality control, and anything again throughout the ag and food value chain. So it's basically first the life sciences or seed companies that do seed and crop protection, but from there it's expanding with many forms of interest today.
Awesome. And I think I'm just going to quickly ask an audience question that I saw come in from Sonia Begaman on Facebook there. And she's asking, how long did it take to train the AI to recognize ag terms for AgVoice there?
Interesting. This went fast and this went slow. So it's taken us a number of years from a research and development standpoint to understand users' needs and train it in a very narrow way. But now that we have the foundation done and it works with no internet connection, any user or customer, we can train it for them within 48 hours. So that's they always ask for more customization and more variety, and now we're now able to meet those needs rapidly.
That's great. It's always really interesting to hear about those things because I know as a journalist, we use a online transcription service, and we always like to send our favorite ag fails to each other, that we words that are like super scientific or something that the transition service has no idea what they are.
All right. Actually, sorry, that's the most important question. Sorry we didn't come to this one sooner. We allow the user, if there is a word that's not recognized, they can instantly change it by voice or editing on the device instantly while they're in the field, so they know it's accurate with the highest accuracy, even scientific levels for research and data plots and data quality.
That's great. That's great to know. And just because we are talking to ag tech, I'd really like to ask you just a bit more of a fun question. So, what do you think is going to be game changing for the industry in the future when we look at the seed and ag industries and how tech is developing?
Interesting. I don't think it's one thing. My personal view is it's the culmination of some things that are coming together now like never before. So one of my very favorite is low Earth orbit satellites and how generally affordable and ubiquitous that's coming. Even at this time, it's in parts of Canada from, say, Starlink and coming down through parts of even Central America, central part of the US. Now it's been in the northern parts. So to me, it's the affordability and pervasiveness of satellite connectivity going everywhere. And then it's combined with, like in our case, our service helps our users kind of augment reality, if you will, or augment their record keeping. But the data streams, the final piece that would pull the three things together, actually, that I think make this fascinating cumulative effect are the Internet of Things within agriculture. So the different data streams from all kinds of sensors, where those drones and irrigation sensors and machinery and things like that. It's the combination of these three things: ubiquitous connectivity that's coming, a service like ours that kind of adds a unique piece of value, a data or audio layer that allows this hands-free capture, hands-free access, and all these different dynamic data streams that are coming more pervasive. So that's my answer. It's the cumulative effect and what anyone in the supply chain can do with it.
That's so interesting. And thanks so much for this conversation. And congrats on being named one of Seed World's top 10 most innovative products.
Great. Thank you.
And so last but not least, let's talk with York from Amphasys. Thank you so much for being here, York. And can you tell me a bit more about your work at Amphasys?
Hello, Ashley. Yeah, thank you for the invitation to speak here. And also thank you for the award to be nominated one of the top 10 most innovative products in the ag industry last year. So I'm Jörg Schrickel. I am the head of sales and marketing here at Amphasys. Originally, I am a chemist, but after having left the lab after my PhD, I started in sales and marketing activities. And for all my career, I was working in sales and marketing and mainly in the agrochemical industry. So 2 years ago, I joined Amphasys here in Switzerland. And yeah, I'm really fascinated by this task and the activities we are in, and yeah, really looking forward to further succeed with our startup company.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really interested in learning more about it right now. So you're here to talk about the Ampha P20, which from what I understand is a product that helps people be able to predict the quality of pollination for crops. So can you tell me a bit more about that? Because that's a pretty general description that I just gave.
Yeah. So first of all, the Ampha P20 is here next to me. And as you can see, it is an instrument and you still need your hands for operating the instrument. So in contrast to what Bruce said, this is not hands-free, it's hands-on. So what the instrument does is basically that it determines the quality of pollen cells. So this is mainly about the viability of cells, and this was done. This could be done also with germination assays, for example. So technology would exist already for a long time. But our technology is quite different. It is much faster. It's highly accurate. It is reproducible. And it not only determines the viability, or it does not only discriminate between viable and the dead cells, it is also able to specify more in detail the quality of the cell. So for example, what we can determine is also aberrant cells which were aborted in the development of the pollen. And the presence of aberrant cells is mainly an indication for heat stress, for example. So we can find out a lot more about the quality and the viability of the pollen cells.
That is so cool. And so what crops are you guys using it on right now? And do you have any future plans to expand to others?
Yeah, so the detail about this instrument is that we have an application for tomato, pepper, corn, and wheat, and we are in fact planning to increase this application to many other crops depending on the market demand and the market size. And we are open to get input from our customers as we have also for the former development so far. And yes, we will definitely expand the range of these applications.
That's great to hear. Of course, I'm sure there's some people that might be listening that are a different crop and they're like, oh, that'd be perfect for them.
Yeah.
So what are you guys like? Who is your ideal customer right now with this product?
So we are in the seed industry, and this ranges from the early development in research, going over in the breeding stage, in the production research, and also in the seed production. So mainly at the moment, the instrument is used in the production research because there all the optimization is done. So for example, the instrument and the information which comes out of the instrument, this allows to draw a lot of conclusions and decisions. And this is the main advantage of the instrument, that information is easily accessible. So for example, if you want to use it for the line characterization, it will be a very helpful tool. So to determine which are the better pollinator lines, then you can determine the female to male ratio. You can optimize storage protocols and develop storage protocols. And as I said, you can find out the impact of heat stress on certain lines. These are all applications and information what you get out of the instrument, and which helps you to improve and speed up your breeding process or to be more efficient in the seed production. And as I said, it starts already in the early development, in research. One big application now today is also that the instrument is used in DH production. So for example, in order to determine the stages of the microspore development, we can exactly find out when is the late uninucleate stage of the microspore, which would be the ideal starting material for the DH production. And we have customers in the industry which have started to use the instrument, the technology in this process. And this brings a lot of efficiency and frees other capacities for other developments.
That is so cool. And so what really makes you excited about this product and the effect it could have on the seed and ag world?
So regarding the Ampha P20, what excites me about is personally that I was part in the whole development, and I think the whole Amphasys team made a really great job to develop this product and bring it to market. That was a great team effort, and yeah, really a good job, great job. From the instrument, it is the intelligent chip. This is the key for the whole development. This intelligent chip makes it possible to have an automated data analysis. So the data analysis was always the bottleneck, more or less, in the for the use of the information. And as Steve said before, with the intelligent chip and the automated data analysis, it will be possible that really everybody can use the instrument, and so that it frees up capacities of highly educated technicians and scientists, and that they can do better work. So at the end, it helps a lot to speed up and improve the breeding and seed production process to make it more efficient to have a better development of the whole seed industry, that the challenges which are related to the climate change, for example, can be tackled in a much better way. And by the fact that this instrument is now usable by less educated people, it always means that even smaller companies can use it. So that makes the whole industry more efficient in order to solve the challenges of the climate change.
Great. And I think this plays into a question that we have from the audience. It's from Alex Martin Han on Facebook. And she's asking, after testing the viability of the pollen, is it typically easy to understand and interpret the data yourself?
Yes. So with this instrument now, the result is a certain degree of percentage of viability. So immediately after the end of the measurement, the instrument will tell you that the viability in the sample is 65%. So if you know that you only have to collect the pollen after above a threshold of 50%, and then you know that it is 65%, then you can immediately take the decision, take the pollen, collect the pollen, and use it for further for storage, for example. On the other way around, if you have stored pollen and you want to do a manual pollination, and you know that you need a threshold of 50% in order to get a full seed set, and you measure your stored pollen sample, and it only shows 40%, then you know you will not get a full seed set, and it is perhaps better to mix it with a 60% viable pollen sample in order to get the requested average.
That's so interesting. And I just want to kind of wrap this up with you and see, as I was asking everyone else, what are you really excited for and think will be game changing in the seed and ag worlds in the future?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of interesting new emerging technologies, also like ours and many others. But personally, I'm really excited about gene editing because I think this will be a real game changer in order to breed more efficiently, to get the yields and the lines which are requested in order to fight the climate change and the consequences out of that. So therefore, I have a lot of expectations in gene editing and related technologies.
And I see we just had a audience question come in from Magma Seeds on YouTube, and they're asking, can you explain user cases for this technology when selecting for a breeding male?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit more difficult to explain, and perhaps they can directly contact us in our support department. I think we have a lot of interesting examples to show that, and yeah, perhaps we can do it in a direct contact.
Yeah, of course. And for anyone that is wanting to get in contact with any of these companies, we do have a really great feature up on our Seed World website right now where we're detailing all of the top 10 most innovative products. And we will be posting a follow-up story later today in regard to this episode, and it will be going in our newsletter later today. So you will get all your information on how to contact these amazing companies. And so I just want to quickly thank York for being here and explaining all this to us. And congrats to you guys over there at Amphasys for being named one of Seed World's top 10 most innovative products.
Thank you, Ashley.
And so, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. And thank you to Steve, Bruce, and York for being here. I really enjoyed talking with you and learning about your products. For those watching, thank you for tuning in. And if you missed any part of today's live stream, don't worry, we'll have it available on demand on Facebook and YouTube. If you have any questions about these products, please send a message to Seed World's Facebook page or feel free to reach out to me. Next week, my colleague Mark Zinkowitz will be here to talk with some more of the top 10 most innovative products, award-winning companies. We hope you'll join us. Thanks, and see you next week.